In this video, we're going to do another application of Demoivre's theorem. And first of all, I apologize for my voice because I seem to have a cold or something. But hopefully I can get through it. I do need to make this video. So what we need to do is we need to raise 1 plus I, that complex number, to the fifth. And so remember what it means to raise a number to the fifth. It means to repeat multiplication. So this means to do 1 plus I times 1 plus I times 1 plus I 5 times. Now, if I ever asked you to multiply that all out, you'd have my permission to not do it, because that would be absolutely terrible, right? Because you'd have to multiply these two out, and then you get an answer, and then you multiply the next two out. It would be just a big pain. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to, so this is frustrating. We're not going to do that. However, if we write our complex number in trig form, which I have up here in the upper right hand corner, it's really easy to raise numbers to powers using Demoivre's theorem. So let's do it that way. So let's rewrite this in trig form. So this is standard form here. And let's write it in trig form. So I go to my complex plane and I graph 1 plus I. So that's right here. So 1 plus I is right here. And that means that's a 1, that's a 1. My hypotenuse is root 2. And my theta is 45 degrees. So my theta there is 45 degrees. So in trig form, so r equals root 2, theta equals 45 degrees. So in trig form, I can write my answer, or I can write my number like this, root 2, and I'm going to use the abbreviation that I used above. I'm going to use my abbreviation above. So up here in the upper right, you see I write the trig form. I abbreviate it r cis theta. So I'm going to do that here. Remember, that doesn't change anything. It's just useful because you don't have to write as much. So that's 1 plus I, and I'm going to raise that to the 5th power. And now this is easy, because raising this to the 5th power by Demoivre's theorem means I raise root 2 to the 5th power, and then I multiply 45 degrees times 5. And so what's that? Well, let's take care of root 2 to the 5th. That is root 2 times root 2 times root 2 times root 2 times root 2. But that's just a 2, and that's just a 2, and that's a root 2 left over. So it's 4 root 2. CIS. And 5 times 45 is 225 degrees. And now I'm going to expand this. I'm going to get away from the abbreviation. So now I'm going to write this as 4 root 2. Because remember, they want my answer in standard form. So it's 4 root 2 cosine of 225 degrees plus I sine 225 degrees. And so now what I'm responsible for is evaluating this and this. So let's go off to the side here. Actually, I'll give myself a little bit more room. 225 degrees puts me here. And so to do the sine of 225, well, the reference angle is 45. Again, that's 225, the whole thing. That's 45, that's a 45. Negative 1, 1, root 2. And so the cosine of 225 is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 1 over root 2. Plus I sine, nope, not sine, plus the sine of 225 is negative 1 over root 2. With this 4 root 2 on the outside. And now when I distribute that, 4 root 2 times 1 over root 2 is just a 4. And 4 root 2 times negative 1 over root 2 is a negative 4. So I write my answer as negative 4i. Oops, did you catch my mistake? Because I just did. This is a negative 1. Which means that's a negative 1. Which means this is a negative 4. So that is what we would have gotten if we had to take the time up here to multiply this all out. So this all equals, now that we're done with the frustration, because we did it, negative 4 minus 4i. Sorry for the mistake. So there you have it. It's multiplying complex numbers in trig form is really easy. So what we do when we have a complex number raised to a power when that number is in standard form is we often turn it to trig form, use Demoivre's theorem, evaluate those trig functions to regain our answer in standard form. All right. So I'm going to have you try these next two on the next slide. So I'd like you to try these on your own. One of them is, you'll note, in trig form, and the other one is in standard form. So go ahead and give those a shot.